shift focus then and talk about the sugar space in India's ethanol production scene. Now, the sentiment in the sugar industry has soured amid pricing concerns and policy uncertainty. Adding to that pressure is grain-based ethanol production that is surging with rice and maize output hitting record highs in FY25 and set to climb even further in FY26. So what does this shift mean for India's ethanol industry? Ashesha is joining us with more details on how to understand this shift in terms of these norms. Ashesha.
Well, yes, you have joined us on ET Now's SBI Live Studio, and today in particular, we put the spotlight on India's sugar and grain-based ethanol manufacturing sector because India's ethanol blending program is clearly seeing some shifts. Let's put it into numbers for you. Remember earlier, India's ethanol blending program was dominated by sugarcane-based ethanol manufacturing, but the trend is now clearly changing, and now grain-based ethanol manufacturers are taking the lead. In fact, as a percentage of total ethanol manufactured in India, nearly 70% now comes from grain-based manufacturing versus 27% earlier. And this because grain manufacturing itself, grain crop production itself has risen in India both for rice and for other grains, and that is the reason we have seen this kind of surge. Now remember, buffer stock and record crop of both maize and several other crops continues to remain in focus, and that is aiding the up move. Now in FY25, rice output stood at 150 million tons versus a 10-year average of about 120. So this clearly has seen an uptick. In fact, this is only set to rise further in FY26 as well, and the same story goes with maize as well. So clearly production has risen, and this is on account of increase in crop production that we have seen in India over the last few years. Now let's also put the spotlight on sugar mills then. Pricing has always been a concern. Remember, ethanol prices have not been hiked for the last several years. Minimum sale price on sugar was last revised in 2018. So these continue to remain a concern for India's sugar industry. Grain-based ethanol manufacturer is now dominating the industry, and demand for sugar-based production of ethanol has steadily fallen over the last few years. This also means that demand for sugarcane is impacting mills' revenue and profitability going forward, and 70% of blending program was sugarcane based earlier, and this has now fallen to below 30% mark. So clearly we are seeing shift in dynamics. Grain-based ethanol manufacturers are now taking the lead as far as India's ethanol blending program is concerned.
Okay, let's take that discussion piece forward, and we've got a battery of experts joining in the show right now. Let me welcome on board Kushal Mittal, the Joint MD at BCL Industries, Mr. Chandrakumar Jain, the Chairman and MD at Gulshan Polyols, as well as Deepak Balani, Director General at ISMA, joining in on the show right now. Mr. Jain, if I could start off the discussion with you first, because seems like the tide is finally turning for grain-based ethanol manufacturers, with both rice and maize production at record high in FY25 and set to rise even further for the next fiscal. Is the industry dynamics now turning in your favor?
Thank you for having me here. You see, the grain ethanol is purely a government of India's proposal. They gave us an opportunity for rural development, for rural employment. You know, sugarcane farmers are far better than grain farmers, especially coarse grain farmers. So government has decided that the grain should give a importance, and grain farmers' income should increase. So they found out the way that the ethanol from grain is the way to develop the grain farmers who are marginal farmers. So those farmers are being really benefited out of the ethanol program. You know, this grain ethanol has only one product, that is ethanol. And another is DDGS, which is going to the cattle feed, and that is high protein value addition to the cattle feed manufacturers. So these are the two things. So it's purely a government program, and we as an investor contributed to it. And we made to the greatest success that we have reached to the 70%. Right now, the capacity of the grain ethanol manufacture have been established which can cater 27-30% of the blending requirement together with the sugarcane. Both can cater to that requirement by this year end. These are the well, I can say that there was a hiccups for last 2 years when the FCI surplus FCI rice was not given to the ethanol industry, but that has also been put into the line. You know, as you have rightly shown, 150 rice is rising by 30%, and maize is rising by 30-35%. So these are our capability of our farmers. They got the opportunity to supply. They got the opportunity that there is a buyer. So they increase the production. They increase their productivity. They increase the quality of their grain. All those things has happened only because of the grain, ethanol. And you know, all the ethanol units have been set up in the rural areas. It is another development of rural areas together with the sugar mills. Sugar mill is a one slot, and this grain industry is developing the grain farmers. Grain ethanol is developing grain farmers,
Sure.
which is also important for India to do it.
Right. Right. Kushal, I want to get your thoughts in here because reports are suggesting that grain-based ethanol production is now dominating the market, while demand for cane-based, ethanol has actually weakened. As a percentage of total ethanol production, how much does grain-based contribute now at an industry level, and is this really expected to rise further?
Uh, Good morning. Thank you for having me. Firstly, I'd like to make a statement. I don't look at this as a competition between grain and sugar. See, both raw materials are required for India to meet its blending targets and for India to be self-sufficient in terms of its energy needs. And also it caters to different farmers. Farmers who are used to growing sugarcane will continue to do so. You see the problem that India is currently facing is that we're sitting on a buffer stock of grains. Rice stock is at 4 times the buffer requirement. So the ethanol industry is a necessary step to help bring this buffer stock down. Also, maize farmers have now been earning a lot more since the ethanol policy came into play. Prices used to be around 13 rupees a kg, now they're at 25 rupees a kg. And similarly with the sugar industry, the sugar farmers have gotten good remuneration for their crop since the policy began. So overall, the ethanol policy is an agrarian-focused policy. And since over 60% of India's population is still agrarian, this is not necessarily a competition between grain and sugar. And I'd also like to clarify that I don't think the demand for sugarcane ethanol has come down. It's just that we're in the months right now where most sugar mills across India are closed. So hence you see a greater supply coming in from the grain-based distillers.
Okay, so that's the take coming in, and you're not viewing this shift from ethanol or sugar to grain right now as a big competition right now. But Mr. Balani, I would also like to get your view on the same because reports are suggesting that surge in grain-based ethanol production is posing a major challenge for sugar mills, especially when many of these sugar companies have already invested quite heavily in ethanol infrastructure over the last few years. Help us understand, is sugar industry facing the heat of surge in grain-based ethanol production? Your sense on the matter?
Yeah, hi. See, basically, the ethanol requirement in the country for E20 is around 1,200 crore liter, and sugar industry alone cannot give entire 1,200 crore liter. So it has to be both sugar and the grain. And the capacity of sugar industry today is almost 900 crore liter, and it can easily give around 650 to 700 crore liter. Having said that, the balance has to come from grain sector. But what we have actually seen, because of the higher maize ethanol price, which is almost 72 rupees in comparison to the juice ethanol price, which is around 65 rupees, we have seen that the maize ethanol has increased, which has perhaps created some kind of a distortion, because as you all know, that disproportionate maize push has also reduced oil seed acreage, which has actually worsened the edible oil imports and also to some extent neutralized the forex savings from ethanol blending. And as far as the water use is concerned, the Department of Agriculture on record has confirmed that maize perhaps needs almost 25% more water than sugarcane in terms of ethanol yield. So having said that, I believe there has to be a balance between sugar and grain. And going forward in 25-26, we are expecting that the sugar industry will at least get an allocation of almost 475 crore liter, since we have a very good season going ahead.
All right, but along with that, Mr. Jain, you did talk about the demand, the production, and the pricing scenario. But how has the tendering been with respect to the OMCs? How has the prices for the OMCs changed for the grain-based ethanol versus the cane-based, and what factors could be at play?
You see, if you really see the entire ethanol policy, there are six prices, and the government is so intelligent. He decided the prices based on the feedstock. It is wrong to say that ki maize price is higher than anything else. You see, they have worked it out which crop or which segment of sugar cane gives what costing. So they have got six prices, not one or two. So we have to keep in mind that there are six prices. And according to that, according to their viability, according to their cost of production, these six prices go together. And they look forward for the average. You cannot say 72 is high and 65 is low. 65 is, government has decided what is 65, what is 72. We have nothing to say on that. As far as you are saying, tendering is concerned, you know, as Mr. Balani has rightly said, that their requirement would be, and 20% will be 1,200 crores. But I'm not expecting in C1 that they will give the tender of entire 1,200 crores, because there are some units in pipeline who can also join later. So they will keep the margin for that. So I'm expecting somewhere between this C1 tender, which is expected any day or next week, between 1,000 to 1,100 crore liters. And they will keep some buffer for future tendering so that new units can also come. You see, this was a movement, ethanol is a movement, and grain ethanol is especially driven by the government policies. Sugarcane ethanol was available since 2003. You please take note of it. It was giving only up till 2014, it was giving only 1.5%. It was giving only 1.5% blending. So it is this ethanol program is only for grain and grain farmers and rural development. As far as Mr. Belani has said that the maize takes more water, it is a debatable issue. We have the studies where studies say the sugarcane has more water. So it is a debatable issue. Let's not speak on it. So,
Okay.
this is a debatable issue. They will say that sugar can do less. We say the maize. So we have got those studies also. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ छिपा हुआ है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Sugar is as thirsty a crop. But Mr. Balani, are sugar mills producing less ethanol because of unviable prices? You think that's, another reason?
See, this year, if you talk about 24-25, yes, that is a fact, that because there has been no price correction in spite of the FRP, which has gone up from 305 to 355, which is almost 16.5% since 22-23. There has been some difficulty faced by the sugar mills. And perhaps in this current season, we have seen that the diversion has been less than expected because of the non-correction of the prices.
Okay, so that's the take coming in. And Mr. Mittal also help us understand the surge in feedstock crop for both maize and rice. They've ensured prices remain under pressure. And has that thereby aided margins for grain-based ethanol manufacturers? Anything on the financials?
See, I'd like to firstly clarify on one of the statements that was made by Mr. Bilani, that maize is taking the area of oil seeds. See, the farmer will grow whatever gets them the best price for their crop, right? Since India has now allowed, has now reduced the import duty for many years. This shift from oilseeds toward other crops is a phenomenon that's 20 years old. It's been happening for the past 2 decades. So why are we against the farmer earning more by growing a crop that earns them more money? Maize is a crop that can be grown throughout the nation at any given at different points of time. And again, I would like to clarify that of course it's a debatable issue that maize is not as water guzzling as a sugar crop. And see, India is currently sitting on a buffer stock of rice that's lying with FCI. Now, what can you do with that rice? There's a certain amount that goes to PDS. Very little amount is exported. Ethanol industry, of course, gives a very good use for that rice. And secondly, more than the rice, maize now dominates the market, and maize prices have increased significantly. And when the agrarian economy is doing well, India is doing well entirely.
Indeed, but Mr. Bilani, we are seeing a lot of debate around the ethanol blending and that E20 blended ethanol petrol that is impacting the engines. What are your thoughts on the ongoing debate around this?
See, as you very rightly said, Supreme Court has dismissed the EPIL against E20 and affirming the farmer as the biggest beneficiary of this entire E20 program. Also, government in its various circulars and notifications has strongly defended ethanol blending, reaffirming its commitment towards the cleaner fuels. So I believe, I think this is more of a very uninformed social media discussions, which has absolutely no truth. E20 is absolutely safe for the vehicles. There has not been any case where the vehicles have seen any damage because of E20. There have been tests done by ARAI. OEMs, OMCs, testing agencies all have gone on record saying that E20 is absolutely safe for the vehicle. So I don't really think that there is any issue going forward.
Okay, and Mr. Bilani also help us gain some more clarity on this, because sources are telling ET now particularly that around 5 to 8 lakh metric tons of sugar exports may be allowed in the first phase. What are your calculations suggesting? What is the inventory situation currently, and how much exports could be allowed in this first phase?
See, we will be closing the season with almost 52 lakh tons. And going forward, we have estimated a production of almost 35 million tons. So even if we take out 28.5 million tons for the domestic production and around 4.5 million tons for ethanol diversion, we will have 2 million tons for the exports. What we have requested the government is to allow at least 1 million of exports before start of the season, so maybe by October end. And going forward, after seeing the performance of the exports and also seeing the advance estimate of the crop, another million can be given a couple of months later.
All right, but with this, gentlemen, we let you go. Mr. Mittal, Mr. Jain and Mr. Bilani, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us this morning.
Madam, thank you. 1 minute.
Yes, Mr. Jain, please go on.
You just close your ear for 2 minutes and think about your own vehicle, whether it has given any trouble to you for last 10 years, because the blending is there for many years. Just close your ear and think of yourself. That's all I wanted to tell you. You will get the answer of everything. Thank you very much.
No, Mr. Jain, we do take your point, and that's what the agencies, the testing agencies rather, has been highlighting, and Mr. Bilani also spoke on that. But
Yes,
we
yes.
do take a note on that.
I want you to experience. I want you to experience it.
I'll surely try that. But in the traffic of Mumbai, it's a little hard to catch hold of the mileage. But thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us. But with this, viewers, it's time.